All set? Okay, this is the Board of Elections, Board of Supervisors of Elections meeting for September 27th. I went blank for a second there on what the day was. And we will go ahead and get started. Betty Tustin had already informed me that she would not be able to attend tonight, however, she will be watching on Facebook. So, trying to pull it up, make sure it's all running right. Let's see. Oops. So if you all will take a moment to review the minutes, and then we'll get that out of the way.
And it was even more visible.
Yeah, it's fine. All the stiff. Oh, I know, I didn't hear the text notification because I turned the sound off.
Looks good to me.
Okay. Also, if somebody wants to make a motion,
I shall move.
Second.
and I'm assuming all was good then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna pass out some stuff for you to add behind it. These will go in the last section of your book. I think there's enough, I'm gonna hand it out one extra there.
Inside the last.
The very last, the very back of the book, yep. It doesn't matter, you can put it behind everything that's there, in front of it, doesn't, it's just so that you have a copy of the advertisements. And then this also, there's 3, goes in the last section. It's just to have a copy on hand. I do have an extra. I'll let you get all that sorted, and then I have one more to go. And that I had copied you all, and that email is just to have another copy of it, just in case anyone is, needs that information. And then this last one goes in section, let me double check myself, section 3 of your book.
Section 3.
Section 3, and this is the instructions, and then the reason that you're putting them in your book is so that you have them on election day, obviously, but you'll also have this information in several other places. Let me take my stuff real quick. Thought I put this in here, but I guess not. Okay. So what I just passed out includes the instructions for election day for how the ballots will be marked as well as step-by-step instructions for processing voters. And don't worry, you don't have to read through this right now, because we'll go over it here in just a minute. But just so that you have it. Moving on to the next agenda item, there were no write-in candidates who filed. Therefore, the only district that is contested is District 4, which means that there will be no voting for Districts 1, 2, or 3. So the only polling place that will be active is at the Berlin Police Department for District 4 voters. Now, on the door at Buckingham, just in case people do show up there, there will be a sign telling people, you know, that they're explaining it. But what that also means is that all 4 of you will be at the police department that day to handle the election, which is good, right?
Yeah,
But you're all in the
short
same
anyway.
place, makes things a little bit easier. But as I had indicated in the email in response to Betty's questions, yes, you will all be there all day. It's the nature of the process that you're in the polling place all day, that you can't come and go. And it's a matter of control, integrity of the election process, that sort of thing.
Control. So that means District 1 will have the poll watchers?
District 4 is the only,
4,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah,
They
okay.
can have poll watchers.
Did we get
Yes.
the, sign information?
I'm not sure what you mean.
With Mr. Burrell's.
Well,
sign?
I think it was, I think Mr. Burrell sent got a letter. What about Mr. Reed?
I had provided those at the last meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was really no update on those, just that they were informed of it.
Okay.
You know, and if needed, either filed the form or made the correction,
Okay,
so,
cool.
yeah. So, I'm sorry, back to District 4. So you will be there will be voters for District 4. I don't expect the turnout, obviously if all 4 districts were voting, the turnout would be greater. You will likely get some voters coming from District 3, and it'll just have to be explained to them, you know, that because the at-large seat is uncontested, that candidate is automatically considered to be the winner. Same with District 1. So, getting this stuff together here. There it is, okay. For the remainder of between now and next Tuesday, there is a deadline for people to get their absentee applications in person between now and Friday afternoon. And then they also have to, at this point, they would have to pick up the ballots at the same time. So basically how that works is they come into town hall, fill out the paperwork, wait a few minutes while I pull everything together, and then they go from there. They do have until the close of polls on the 4th to turn absentee ballots in. So it's possible that at the polling place, you may get a couple of people who will bring their absentee ballots to you. You'll just set them aside to be counted along with the rest of the ballots at the end of the day.
I have a question.
Yes.
If someone applied for an absentee ballot but didn't turn it in, but shows up at the poll, do you give them a
No.
ballot?
The deadline for them to get a ballot is the 30th.
Okay.
So if they show up with an application on
Voting.
election day, they can't get an absentee ballot, but they don't need one because they can vote live right then.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I guess I was asking, is there a list of absentee people?
Yes. Now, in the voter roll, anyone who's voted by absentee will be indicated, and their VAT card will also be pulled.
And if they voted by absentee,
They cannot vote in person. Let me see if I can show you. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay,
We'll
that's
we'll
fine.
get to that in a second. That's really all I had as far as the actual election schedule. We will start with the training at this point. So included in what I just passed out for section 3 is this. This is a PowerPoint that we did last time, worked a little bit better when we were in the council chambers, but I think you'll get the gist. This basically explains the process for election day. The voter comes into to the polling place, and this goes from there. First, just a couple of things to review. What's important to remember about the election is that you as, and I talked about this last time, but you as the Board of Elections are there representing the process of the voters' selection of their representative. It is not about the mayor and council, it's not about the candidate, it's about the process of electing their representative. So in that vein, you are neutral as far as whoever is running. You don't comment on who is running, what you think about one candidate or the other. Of course, you're entitled to have your own opinions and you know, the privacy of your mind and between the walls of your own home, but on election day, you don't share those opinions with anyone who's there. You don't want to give an impression of tarnishing or bias of the process. Sometimes people get an impression about the voting process that somehow as the Board of Elections, you control the vote, but you obviously don't. You're handing them a ballot, they mark the ballot, and they put it in the box. You have no control over what is checked on that ballot at the end of the day. So, but it's important just to remember what people's, sorry?
I was just saying, when that happens, and you be looking for an exit door.
Yes. So again, just avoid using any language that indicates a bias. When you hand them their ballot, you can say things like select the candidate of your choice or whoever you're voting for, you know, put an X in the box next to the name that you're choosing, that sort of thing. But avoid using the candidates' names or in any way, shape, or form indicate that you're sort of steering people. Just a reminder that you will not be able to leave the poll throughout the day. You're there from about 6:30 in the morning until the last voter votes. The last voter is the voter who is last in line at 7:00 p.m. That may mean, in more contested years, that means that sometimes the voting goes on long past 7 p.m., but it's up to whoever is actually in line. And the police department will assist with that. They're usually on hand to make sure that the last voter knows that they're the last voter, that no one new joins the line after 7:00. I will ask you to arrive at the police department at about 6:30 a.m. Most of the room will already be set up, but the ballots, the actual physical ballots and the ballot box, that sort of thing, will not be delivered until that time. The ballots will be sealed in an envelope, countersigned by at least 2 members of staff. If one of you wants to come in the day before and observe that process, or all of you, you're certainly welcome to do that. Let's see what else. You can bring food or drink or whatever with you that day. You can have it delivered to you. You just can't leave to go pick it up. But you can have it delivered by a commercial service or a family member, however you choose to do that. So let's look at what you will have with you on election day. You'll have your guidebooks. Please make sure to bring those. They contain pretty much everything that you need. Copies of the town code, instructions, district lists so that you can refer to in case somebody comes in and says, well, I live here, and they're not in the role. You can go look at the street index and say, okay, well, your street and address is in whatever district. You will have a map at the back of the section containing the street index is also a map of those. That's often the easiest way to identify somebody's district. They can point and say, oh yeah, okay, well I live there, and that clears it up. You'll also have a much larger map that'll be posted on a wall there so people can look at that. For the actual process, excuse me, dry mouth.
It's dry in here.
Excuse me, it is. For the actual process of processing voters and having them cast their votes. You will have the voter register, which is a list of all of the registered voters. In this case, it'll be the registered voters in District 3 and 4. They're divided by polling place. So you'll have the voter roll. Here, I'll just bend it over. It's enough. It's flexible enough to do that. The voter roll. These are the VAC cards, voter activity cards. The legal pad, upon which you will do the numbers down the side, and we'll get into the actual process in a second. There is a form for election day issues. Basically, you fill this out if somebody has an issue that, it could be something as simple as a suggestion for a better way to handle it in the future, a real issue like, well, I sent in my change of address, but it hasn't been processed, you know, something like that. You use this form for anything along those lines. You have blank VAC cards. These would only be used if you had someone who came in and you were able to verify with Worcester Board of Elections that they are a registered voter, but for some reason they don't have a card on file. I don't know the circumstances in which that would happen in today's, you know, data-driven age, but maybe it will. It's possible. You can also use that if somebody had significant corrections to make. You will have ballots. Again, they'll be available to you. They'll come in a sealed envelope. You will basically have one ballot for every potential voter, which means you'll have far more ballots than you'll actually end up using for the day. But we have to be prepared in case every single voter decides to show up, and we hope that they do. Never happens.
Unfortunately.
It never happens anywhere.
You have one job.
Show
One
up on
job
election
listed in
day.
the Constitution.
Right.
That's it.
And of course, you'll have boxes of pens for them, and
Sure.
if they want to walk out with a pen at the end of the day, nobody cares. So, the other things that you'll have are cardboard cubicles. They set up on the desk. It's just somewhere where somebody can kind of be surrounded as they fill their ballot out. The ballot box, of course. There are magnifiers for folks who might need the assistance. Since we do everything still by paper, we have to provide that assistance for people to see if they need it.
Provide the magnifier also?
Yes,
Or-
you'll
or
have,
ask for it.
if they ask for it, you know,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. You'll have miscellaneous things in there, tape, the sticky finger stuff, you know, to help you shuffle through the pages, that kind of thing. Large envelopes, these would come into play. Again, I don't anticipate this for this week, but if you reached a point where the ballot box was so full that you couldn't get any more ballots in there, 2 board members can open it, remove the ballots that are in there, put them in an envelope, seal it, sign it. And that way, and the reason you do it for 2 is obviously so that you're observing each other do it, and there's no question. Or you can just shove them down if that works.
I imagine
Like I
this
said.
is really applicable in the 2020 election, because that got kind of,
What's that?
all of this is probably really applicable in the 2020, because
it's
it got real,
It's applicable anytime there's a more heavily contested
Yeah,
election. It can, yes, it can definitely happen. There will also be signs placed outdoors indicating where people cannot campaign. You have to be so many feet from
they had to
the,
get across the other side of the parking lot.
yeah,
last year,
basically,
yeah.
right. As well as just a sign out by the road that says vote here. So that's basically the kind of materials that you will see on election day. Now, as to, and I just redacted information here so that, you know, people can't see who we're talking about. But the voter comes in, you ask them their name first. Once they give you their name, you look them up in the book. Once you found them in the book, you go to the VAC card. I didn't bring A up here, so I can't check it, but you'll find the card that corresponds to the name. You will write excuse me, on the legal pad. And I'll be available to answer any of these questions. Once you do a couple, it's obvious. You'll write their name on the pad. On the VAT card, you will write the number from the legal pad under the voter tally block. You will initial here. The voter will review everything, make sure that all the information on here is correct, their address, that sort of thing, and they will sign in this block. Then you will hand them a ballot and they will go cast their vote. If the voter does find something on the card that's incorrect, they can make the correction. You know, for instance, if they say, oh, the street address isn't the same, as long as it doesn't put them in a different district, they can correct it right on here. That would be the only time that they couldn't correct it
Where
there.
should they make the correction? They will not will it go back into the,
At the end of the election, the completed cards get sent back to the county so that they can review them to make any correction. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it does go back in here, it goes into the back.
oh, okay.
It's under a completed
Yes,
tab.
yes, there's a
You can-
tab at the very back that says completed, so
I
you just
didn't
put
want
them
to
right in
go
the
through
back.
stack, so.
Yes, no. I mean, you know, they don't have to be in any particular order at the end of the day, as long as, you know, there's one for each voter.
Okay.
You'll see on this VAT card, I pulled this already and wrote absentee on it. This is someone who already voted absentee. So, let's look in here and find this gentleman. And I will show you.
Another question too is that I guess we're not responsible for processing absentee ballots until we come back to count.
Right, correct. We've already received a number back. Some of them at the end of this will not be needed because they were sent out before we knew for sure that we wouldn't have candidates, but most of them will, or the ones that are in there, you'll count. So the ones who have already voted by absentee or who returned their absentee application, I've written absentee in here. So if they show up on election day, I'm sorry, you've already voted by absentee, so they can't vote in person. Let's see. The ballot style. I still don't understand why this works this way. It's a function of, again, how the data is crunched at the county level. They assign ballot styles 1 or 2. This is the same for District 1 and 2. This is District 3 and 4. So District 3 is ballot style 1. District 4 is ballot style 2. So in this case, every ballot that you get will have this ballot style on it. It will match what's here and it'll match the bottom corner of, or not the corner, but kind of the bottom center of the VAT card.
Probably splitting mechanism.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the database, you gotta tell them what to do, and the
Exactly.
simpler the better.
That is really the only relevant information that is on the VAT card. There is information on here that indicates district precinct. It has nothing to do with our elections.
Okay.
It's a state designation for a county district or a state district, but it has nothing to do with Berlin's districts.
So ignore it.
Right, so just ignore that number. Just so you're not looking at it and going, well, we don't have a District 5. So, let's see. I looked at the form for election day issues, the blank VAT card to fill out. If you reach if you call Worcester Board of Elections, you cannot determine any other way that the voter can vote. They're not on the roll, they don't have a VAT card. Call Worcester Board, but they insist they should be. You call Worcester Board of Elections, they will look in their files. Again, in today's day and age of electronic data, it's highly unlikely that they're gonna find anything different when you call them, but it is the process. So you call them, they'll look at their information, and if they say, no, that voter is not a valid voter, they cannot be allowed to vote. There's no two ways about that. If they can't be found in our system or in the county system, then they cannot be allowed to vote. Next couple of things I've already kind of gone over. If the ballot box is full, you can either tamp it down or take the ballots out. Just make sure that they're sealed in the envelope. The keys will be in the box. Other than that, you will not tear this envelope open, only if you need to get into the ballot box during the course of the day.
If they do they reseal that at all or leave it open once they've opened it?
Once they've opened it, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Security
Once
wise.
you broke it, you broke it.
Yeah, right. As I said, whatever voter is in line at 7 p.m. will be the last voter allowed, and the police department, again, will help with that. At any time during the day, you can call me. I cannot be there all day for obvious reasons, but I can be available to go there if you need me
The pesky
to.
job situation.
Sorry?
The pesky job situation.
Yeah, well, there's that.
And we stopped in throughout, you know, just to check in randomly as well, so.
Right.
I don't imagine just with one district, right?
Exactly,
This
exactly.
one's gonna be,
This one will be, you'll probably bring your
bring a book.
your
TV.
games on your phone, your book to read, your knitting. Yeah,
Does the police department have Wi-Fi? So we can tap into it. It's gonna be a long day.
When there are poll watchers who are permitted, they're permitted to be there during election day. They're also permitted to be here when ballots are counted. We have provided this form to the candidates. They don't have to have this form though. They can just have a written statement saying, I'm so-and-so, or so this is so-and-so, he's my poll watcher, and it has to be signed by the candidate.
Okay.
So they have the form if they want to use it, but they don't have to have that, but
But
they
we
do have
need
to have
something.
a signed statement of some
Okay.
kind, yes, designating them. During election day, they can come in as soon as actually right before the polls are open. They can stay until it closes, until you're done and you come up here to count the votes. They cannot talk to you. They cannot talk to voters. All they can do is observe. I mean, now I'm not saying if their neighbor comes in, they can't say, hey, George, how you doing? But they can't, you know what I mean.
There's no campaigning.
Exactly, absolutely no campaigning. If you get any impression that they are campaigning in any way, shape, or form, you have every right to eject them. They can't wear buttons saying, I'm here for so-and-so, anything like that. They cannot call outside or receive calls from outside while they're there.
Oh, that's good enough.
Yes. So that is basically it. I know that it's a lot of information, but it is not a complicated process. The only time it kind of runs into anything that bears a little more thought is if something falls outside of the norm. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Like I said, I don't expect this election to have a huge turnout. We typically don't when it's only down to one district.
It would be nice if they.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, like I say, we hope every single voter possible shows up, but we know from experience that just doesn't happen.
But that's where the games come in handy.
Yeah, there you go. Your
I got
fidget
board games,
squares
I
or
got
whatever.
Monopoly, and the old fashioned, and that whole thing they want me to bring in.
So are there any questions about any of that? I know it's like I said, I go through it pretty quickly, but you do have the instructions in there. They're pretty step by step. And I'll have my cell phone call me all day for you to call if there are any questions about how to do it.
The only one that would trip me is that they weren't in there and just trying to confirm.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
did put the second number in.
Yes, and they will be, there's supposed to be somebody at the Board of Elections from 7 a.m. till probably like 7:30. What we would ask is that when the last voter votes, And I'll try to be there when the polls close, and we call them and say, we're good, you can, you know,
Okay.
we're done.
Who brings the ballot box?
I will meet you all there at 6:30 with all that. This kind of stuff will already, I mean, it's just a matter of putting a box down, putting up like the cardboard stuff, but the stuff that actually touches the voting process won't be there until the morning. This box will have everything that fits in there, not everything does, but basically it'll have the roll, the VAT cards, the ballots. That's probably about the only thing that won't go in there. And then the top will be sealed with this. This is a list of the materials that you'll have, and it will be taped on top to show that the box hasn't been opened until you get there in the morning.
Hypothetically, I'm looking, I see a lock on top of the box. If it were to, hypothetically, if it were to be full, then how?
That's,
The
the
keys
keys
are
are in the,
sealed?
Oh,
in the
okay.
envelope.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
There's actually another key in there, that's for the box that the absentee ballots are kept in.
Oh,
So when you come up, I should explain that as well. When the polls are closed, the last voter has voted, you ask the police department, they'll lock the door. You gather up your things, and you come back up here to town hall.
do we gather up all the cardboard, all the setup? Or just our books?
Just the really important stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the other stuff you can leave there, and we can collect it the next day.
Okay.
Do you take this or just want to?
They bring it.
Okay,
They bring
well,
it.
Make sure.
Yeah, once I put it down and lock it in the morning, I will not touch it
I can't remember.
again.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, I know, right? Right, that it will be completely in your control until, the end of the day. You'll come back up here once the polls have closed. The last time we set up in the council chambers, because we were still under COVID regulations, this time we might set up in here. This makes it a little easier. And the doors can remain open or they can be closed. If we get a large group of people in the council chambers, sometimes things start getting noisy, so we close these doors so that you can hear each other think. And that's about that. But as I said, poll watchers can be present in the room.
Okay.
But if they start asking questions or
Interfering.
interfering in any way,
Being a
then
veto?
they can
okay.
be told to leave. None of the ballot counting process is secret. So it's not as if you have to sit at the table very quietly discussing. It just is what it is. People get odd impressions of the election process.
When we're counting, you're gonna be in the room, correct?
No, I will be in the room next door.
Okay, and then with the counting.
But I'll be
is
available.
there, like, the fastest way, is it to do a tally sheet? Or
Yes,
is it
you'll be
sort and
you'll be
tally?
provided with a tally sheet.
Okay, but sort first, then tally, or it doesn't matter how? you
Well,
come
with
up
this one, actually, because it is just two
Yeah, just
people,
one,
the
yeah.
easiest way to do it would be to sort.
Separate and count, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think
When
this is
it
gonna
gets
be.
into
I think a great time to
having a district council seat plus the at-large or plus the mayor, and so then it gets more complicated. But yeah, for this one, it'll just be two piles, and then you'll count them, it shouldn't take long. Any questions at all now, between now and then, on election day? You've got my cell phone number, please reach out. And it's not that I can't step foot in the room or anything, it's just that, for obvious reasons, town staff has to maintain as much distance
Sure.
as feasible. And because we only do this every 2 years, it's, believe me, every year I go back through things and I go, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, sure.
So,
That's what even with any election.
sure. So, are there any questions now?
I
No?
don't.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned?
That's
Yeah.
about it.
Same.
Yeah.
You've been
I
through
so
a few.
moved,
so-
we
Yes.
And I
Both Linda and
second.
Tony have done a few, so whatever they've forgotten, I'm sure we'll come right back to them once they dig into it.
I voted to everyone, so.
There you go.
Solid
Yeah.
operation.
Okay. Well, I thank you all for coming and
Yes,
we
sorry,
will
I'm running
see.
late.
No, you were fine.
My neighbor caught me. I'm an HOA president,
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, okay, well, I had a meeting.